Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another thing where I talk about things. Today, we're going to be talking about Maya, the miniature dachshund. At least one person has asked me to show Maya in personal times in the past, so we're going to talk about Maya. Maya is actually Claudia's dog, my wife's dog. She was here before I was here, and therefore she received a few special privileges. It took me a while to earn some of the same rights, and so on and so forth. But when I first met Maya, she was a very antisocial little dog. She continues to be a fairly antisocial little dog. She knows who she likes, and it's nobody except for family. Like, family are the only people that she really appreciates. So when she first met me, she barked at me, and we were not friends. And some dogs, like they'll calm down and they'll befriend you. Like if you sit down and maybe you show them physical affection, sometimes they'll like you. I've known dogs that were like that. I've known dogs where if you give them food, then you're cool. But Maya was interesting because you're not cool until you play fetch with her a couple of times. Like, fetch is the way that you have to get into this dog's heart. She's very active. She really likes to chase things. She likes to destroy stuff. So I found that as I played with her, we became more friends and more accepted. But Maya is still super protective of her family, and so she's really protective of both me and Claudia against each other. We had to sort of train her to stop growling and barking when one of us would approach the other from above. Like if either of us had a position of relative height power over each other, like if one of us is sitting down and the other of us is like walking up behind them or over them or whatever, that is a threatening position, and the dog does not approve. So yes, interesting dog, very protective. Had to wean that out of her. But over time she's really grown on me a lot. I actually grew up with cats when I was young. We had a bunch of different cats when I was little. We had cats before I was born, and my parents' first cat was a very grumpy old cat. She tolerated me. Apparently she didn't like me very much when I was first born because I was noisy. Babies are noisy. But she came around when I started to eat solid food, because babies are also messy, and so the cat would hang around the high chair. And I guess that's when the tolerance started to sink in, because baby produced a lot of stuff to eat off the floor. This cat, for this reason, learned to really appreciate human food and often would come to the table and beg and stuff like that for food. And as I went on, she passed away because she got old. Also, it turned out that I was really allergic to cats. At some point in my life, I just developed really bad allergies to cats. I have pet-related or allergy-related asthma. So it got to be kind of miserable living with cats. My parents still have cats. Occasionally they would they'd be like, oh, why don't you just stay the night one night, and so on and so forth. And I always declined because I'll die. I can't gain access to oxygen and be around cats at the same time for prolonged periods. But yes, cats. I've had cats that were more social, more friendly. Like the last cat that my family got was a type of breed of cat that's actually very social, to the point where you can sort of teach them tricks. Like you can teach them to play fetch and things like that. And this cat we had since she was a kitten, and so she's probably the most social cat that we have. But they're still kind of cat-like. They're still sort of lazy. Their affection tends to be more like laying down on top of you, so on and so forth. Maya, this little dog Maya, it's been a different experience for me. They're much more keenly interested in you as like people. Like they follow you around. They're really attentive as to what you're doing. They're very focused on you. They're desperate for attention. Like Maya, oftentimes she cries periodically throughout the day. And one thing that I started doing is, once I moved in with Claudia, I do my work for a while. And then at a certain time of day, I would just go out and I would play fetch with Maya. And so Maya got real used to this routine, to the point where around 4 o'clock every single day, she would get down from the bed. Like, she would sleep in the same room as me because she couldn't stand to be separated from somebody. And then so she would get down from the bed, and then she would start to climb the chair and beg and cry and whine. And if I put my shoes on, she would just freak out. It would just become this thing. Like, she would cry and scream and run around the room and just get so excited because she, it's like, oh, it's playtime. And this became a problem because sometimes I was just putting my shoes on to go outside and do something, And so she would get super excited because she would think it was playtime, but actually it was, go run errands time. And so to try to calm her down and get her to understand that, we're not gonna go play, because they're very, dogs are very expressive, and it feels, you feel guilty when they get so excited, and you have to kind of like let them down. You'd be like, no, I'm sorry, we're not gonna go play. We're not gonna do anything you want to do. I'm leaving, in fact, and that will upset you. This is a terrible time. This is a miserable time. It's a sad time. I'm sorry. But yes, this little dog, though, it's Claudia's. She's Claudia's baby, and for the longest time, she actually didn't strictly train the dog. What happened was that she picked up Maya while Claudia was in college. And so Claudia was busy a lot of the time, and she had this little dog. It was kind of a breakup dog. She had just gone through a rough breakup with her ex, and she was sad, and so she wanted companionship, so she got a little puppy. And a lot of people do this. I hear a lot of people, young people, they get breakup dogs. So yes, her little baby, she really didn't want to like hurt it or punish it or anything like that, but fortunately she lived in this co-ed situation, and one of her roommates was like a Marine, and so this Marine guy apparently had no problems with disciplining the dog. So whenever she did something wrong, he'd just like pick her up and put her in the bathroom for about 20 seconds, and it would take that, she would be so sorry. She'd be separated from everything that she loved, not sure at all when she'd be let out, could be in there for an eternity. Probably when they're puppies, it seems like 20 seconds probably seems like a really long time. Then they let the dog out, and she still does this. Like if you put her in punishment for a while and then you let her out, she acts like you've been reunited. Like it's like the gulf of, you've been separated for so long she can't even remember, so she'll like climb your leg and try to lick your face and just be like, oh god, we were separated, thank god. So she, that's a real terrible punishment for her, being separated for like 20 seconds. Just and so you do that to her on something, and she eventually learns to stop doing whatever it is that she's being punished for. So Claudia did some of the training. She taught her some things, but most of the punishments apparently came from this Marine. So when I moved in, Maya was really used to crying for what she wanted, because the crying would break Claudia's heart, and it worked every time. If she cried for something, Claudia felt really bad, and then she would give in and cooperate with the dog and do whatever the dog wanted. So she was kind of tied to the dog. But when I moved in, I was around the dog more often, and so for the first few weeks that I was there, the dog would just cry non-stop, for attention, for anything, for everything. She cried for absolutely everything. And what I wound up having to do is I had to look up. I had no familiarity with dogs, so I had to look up and see well, what do you do when a dog just cries non-stop? How do you prevent the dog from crying? And the internet was just well, you just ignore them. You don't do anything. Don't scold them. Don't punish them. Don't do anything. Just ignore the crying until you're ready to respond to whatever you think the dog wants. Don't ignore it. If you think they need outside, go take them outside. But, just wait. Make them wait. And so, gradually I was able to extinguish that behavior by just, not doing anything. And then eventually the dog she would go lay down on the bed and be sad. She would frump about it. It's cute. Like I say, they're very expressive animals. She'd go frump down on the bed. Just be like, nobody loves me. This is stupid. This is terrible. And then I would get up and go do what she wanted. And that taught her gradually not to cry for what she wants. She still has lapses. When we take her to go see her, Claudia's parents. Claudia's parents are pretty lenient with the dog. They want to please the dog and be friends with the dog, so certain bad behaviors are rewarded again. But when it's just us, she generally has learned not to cry unless she really needs something. She still cries to be let outside, but that's important. That's an important cry. That's one that I want to hear. And sometimes she cries. If Claudia doesn't come home for work on time, she'll cry. She'll beg and cry, but there's nothing I can do. I can't just go and forcibly bring my wife home from work. She's got stuff to do. So yes, there's not a whole lot of interesting stories about Maya. Most I think with most dogs you find that a lot of their personality may be there, but it's something that you kind of have to feel out. It's a little bit difficult to put into words, and most of the stories you hear about dogs are about things they eat. And Maya is no exception. She loves to eat things that she couldn't. She shouldn't. That is. or rather that she couldn't, I suppose. She loves these little like squeak balls. We had these tennis balls that we gave her, and she really liked them. We would get this tin out, and she would get super excited because she loved these tennis balls. She has games that she plays with the tennis balls. Like she likes to. She has a little dog bed that she doesn't sleep in. What she does is we put the balls like under the dog bed, and then she like digs the dog bed up to try and get the balls out. And she'll like tear holes in the dog bed and things like this. And we really didn't like start this game. She actually started doing it herself. Like when Claudia would come home from lunch, she wouldn't necessarily take the dog out, but the dog would be all excited and would have a lot of energy. And so what she would do is she would put her ball in the bed and then grab the bed and then flip it over so that the bed had trapped the ball. And then she would start to dig up the ball. And this was something that she was just willfully doing. And she got in the habit of it to where like anytime she got a new dog bed, she would just destroy it, because this was fun. This was the fun thing to do. And so eventually, we just gave in. We were like, all right, so dog beds are actually just a toy. They're really not dog beds. So every now and then we'll buy her a new toy and we'll play with her with it. So yes, she has this. This actually led to her parents have another Dachshund, and they brought over their Dachshund's dog bed, which Maya then destroyed that Dachshund's dog bed because it was like, oh great, like this is how this operates. So this other Dachshund was just like laying there sad and depressed because she's not trained at all. This other Dachshund, Luna is her name. She's just this fat little sausage dog. She pees on the floor. She's awful. But, really just just depressed, no willpower, just like laid flat on the floor and was just like, oh no, help. Maya's all active. Maya's got a lot of willpower. Maya decides what happens. So, yes, there's also too, if we put the bed, whenever we lay down in bed, Maya will bring the ball and then she'll hide the ball under the covers, or she'll try to make us hide the ball under the covers, and then she'll dig up the bed while we're laying in it. And so if we decide that we want to go to bed, there's usually like an hour of playtime with Maya beforehand because she won't settle down until she's tired of digging up ball. And sometimes she'll dig until she is panting and becomes physically exhausted from the effort. But, yeah. So, anyway, though, she had these little rubber balls that were really great that she really liked, the basic tennis ball things. And what she would do is she would play with those for a while, and she would get us to play. And as long as we were playing with her, she was fine with the tennis balls. But once we quit playing, and once she got tired of hiding the ball herself, she would start to destroy the ball. Because dogs, when they get bored, they turn to destruction. So she would tear the skin off the ball, and then she would tear the ball into pieces. But, it would just be like pieces of the ball, and then she'd spit the pieces out, and we'd just pick up the pieces later. But then one night, as she was tearing up the ball, I believe that Claudia tried to take some of the pieces from Maya before she was done tearing up the ball. And this triggered something in her little doggy brain that made her decide that she needed to eat the ball, or else it was going to be taken away from her before she was done with it. So this led to a problem where our dog Maya was eating rubber balls. Like she was tearing them up and then eating them. And then because she couldn't pass them, she was having digestive problems, where there was these big chunks of like rubber in her intestines, and they would block, her bowels. She didn't wind up completely obstructed, thankfully, because you have to take the dog in for surgery for that. She actually had surgery once before. When she was a puppy, she found a little ball of saran wrap that had muffins in it or something like that, and she just ate the whole thing of saran wrap, which then got wadded up and stuffed in her intestines, and she had to go get surgery to have it removed. It's very expensive. In this case, she didn't need surgery, but her digestive system got blocked up badly enough that she started vomiting, and the vomiting lasted for about 2 days, but she was able to produce stool, and gradually she did pass the little pieces of plastic. So we had to stop giving her her favorite balls. Now, if she gets them, it's on special occasions, and we have to supervise and make sure that we know what's going on with the ball, and when she gets to the point where she starts to destroy them completely, we take them away, which really upsets her, but it's better that we do that, so we don't have to take her into surgery, because honestly, she hates the vet a lot, and, I've never seen her excited to go see the vet at all. Another problem that she's had is, like I say, I used to take her out at around 4 o'clock every single day and play fetch with her, and that was just kind of my routine, and she loved that so much. Like, I was the best, and while I was doing this, Maya would not leave my side, and this made Claudia rather jealous. I was the better person. I played ball sometimes, and Maya loves ball. And so this is not the case anymore. We've kind of quit playing ball with her on the regular. She still gets exercise, but not as much as she used to. Because what started to happen is she started to go out and play, and then after playing, she would cry and then act like she couldn't get comfortable. And it would be really unclear what exactly was causing her the distress. Like Claudia was worried that maybe she hurt her leg or whatever, but what she was most concerned about is that maybe there was something wrong with the spine. Dachshunds, because they're very long dogs, develop spine problems very commonly, and this was the thing that Claudia was concerned about. So we kept an eye on her for a while, and like the first time, she cried, and it was kind of awful, but eventually she got better. And it gets worse when Claudia comes home. Claudia is really empathetic with the dog, and so the dog gets lots of attention. If the dog really hams up the pain that she's in, like there's legitimate amounts of pain, but if she hams it up, she gets tons more attention. So when she was at home with me, it was like, she was definitely in pain. And I had laid down with her for a while and kind of comforted for her. I'd comforted her for a while, and then when she kind of calmed down, I got up and I went back to work. And it wasn't too bad, she wasn't in good shape, but she was holding still and kind of getting over. And then like Claudia would come home, and then it would be like the dog is dying. Like she would just start to cry, like, oh, just like just dead. Oh, help me. And then Claudia would sit there, and like Claudia would hold the dog and cry, and the dog would cry, and it was just everyone was dying, everything was terrible. And I'd be like, I don't know. I mean, like she was looking better before you got home. I don't know what to say. The dog does understand, like they're empathetic towards people, and so they follow your emotions. And I think that if you come home and you act like the dog is dying, then maybe the dog feels more like they're dying, and it made it seem even worse. But like for a little while, we let the dog kind of rest and relax. We didn't take her out to play for a while, and she kind of recovered and she got better. And, she was running around, acting like her normal self. And so then later on, I took her out to play fetch again because that was our routine. And then immediately afterwards, she went right back to the same pain. So we had to take her to the vet because, it wasn't just like she didn't just get bumped or anything like that. Like she runs around the yard, she'll run into sticks and through the bushes and stuff like that, chasing rabbits. In fact, she's killed numerous rabbits so far and one blue jay since I've known her. Some people say, like, oh, dogs, they'll never catch those rabbits because the rabbits are so swift and they know all the ways out of the yard. But Maya, she's killed baby bunnies, she's killed full-grown bunnies, and she's killed, like I say, a blue jay. Like, I don't know what happened with the blue jay. I think the blue jay just got snuck up on or something. Maybe it was hot, it was tired. I'm not sure what the deal was, but I just watched her. She just got it. And the blue jay really had no chance whatsoever. Its tiny little hollow bones were no match for Maya's head-shaking power. So just shook that blue jay, broke its spine, and then didn't really know what to do with it afterward. Like, blue jays are not really great food items for dogs. So I was just like, oh okay, back off, Maya. And so she let it go. Normally she'll fight me for prey. But for the blue jay, she just kind of let the blue jay go, and she was like, I killed it. And I was like, yeah, I know. Let me go and get a box. I'll put your prey where we put the other ones. So another time she killed a bunny rabbit. She killed a fully grown rabbit once because what happened was it had a little exit hole that it was trying to go for, and then Maya got in front of the exit hole, and then it didn't know where to go. Like once it lost its route, it wasn't sure what to do, and it wound up cornering itself. So Maya, having cornered the thing, instantly killed it. She grabbed it, fought it to death, and it was because it was a rabbit about the same size as she was. It was a bit of a prolonged fight. And so when I got out there, like actually Claudia was the one who first saw it. I came out towards the tail end of it. I could hear the rabbit screaming off on the backside of the yard. And so I had to like walk out there with Maya. And Maya, what she'll do is she'll try to, like when she's got something she can carry around, she'll run around the yard. She won't give you a bunny rabbit if she killed it. Like kills belong to Maya. Maya killed it. It's Maya's kill. Maya gets to have it. But this rabbit was so big, she couldn't really drag it around. So instead what she did is when I came over to take it away from her, she immediately tried to eat it before I could take it from her. So while it was still breathing and still conscious, she yanked its fur off. She like basically, imagine like if the bunny rabbit's skin were pants, she basically yanked its pants down. So all its like flesh was exposed, and so I picked it up and I took it away from her, and it died while I was holding it. It obviously didn't have much longer. I'm pretty sure she broke its spine. That's the sort of go-to thing that dogs do. with their prey. So it didn't like struggle. I picked it up and then it kind of died. It kind of stopped breathing, and so I put it in the garbage in a box, and that was the end of that. That was probably the largest kill that Maya's ever gotten. And otherwise, what'll happen is that she'll occasionally find bunny nests and she'll dig them up and then eat the babies, and then Claudia panics. She says occasionally when this happens, she's like, "I'm so glad that you live with us now," because it was always like I could never figure out what to do when Maya killed the bunnies. Like I had to go through all this trouble. You just take them away, like you just get the bunnies away from her and take care of it. And so I'm the man in the relationship. I just take the dead animals and take care of them. So yes. Anyway, though, very active dog, very, very excited to be outside, and so what it turns out happened, though, we took her to the vet, and she was suffering from a sort of a spinal inflammation, where her lumbar spine was becoming inflamed, and that's why she was in so much pain, because it was causing a lot of nerve endings to be pinched off, and if you're not careful with this kind of thing, then it can get really bad, and it can wind up leading to paralysis, and then the dog really, their days are really numbered. So the doctor gave us some meds to kind of help put the swelling down, and had us keep an eye on the dog. He said, for a couple of weeks, don't really take her out to play. And at this point now, we're just really careful with her. We make sure that she doesn't wind up, hurting herself any more than she already has. She's still active around the house. We've got like ramps everywhere up in the bed. Claudia has taught Maya that she is welcome in the bed. And this is kind of nice and also kind of terrible. It's kind of nice because sometimes if it's cold, she'll snuggle up next to you, which is cute. But unfortunately, she's also a very selfish sleeper. So when Maya gets too hot or anything like that, she actually won't like get up and move somewhere else. She'll kick you. Like she'll try and get you to move. So she'll like push you away or kick you or whatever, in the expectation that you'll get up and give her space, So she's a little bit selfish of a bed partner. She's not really great for that sort of thing, and she used to sleep on top of me for a while, but I think I have the tendency to roll over when she does that, so now she doesn't really trust me quite as much. If given the choice between me or Claudia, she'll usually prefer to snuggle with Claudia, because Claudia will hold still more. And the other thing that she does is she'll get under the covers, but then when she wakes up, she'll climb up out of the covers, which unfortunately means that she comes up at about head height, and then she gives her body a good shake whenever she wakes up, and she might shake multiple times, and so she's got really long ears, and so it's like someone is clapping their hands over your head, like she shakes, it's loud, it wakes you up. You try to drift off back to sleep, and then she'll shake again, and she'll shake like this morning she shook 3 times before she'd had her shakes all done, and so when Maya wakes up, everybody wakes up. She kind of calls these shots. And if anything, stuff like this is why I feel like people who say that, okay, the dog shouldn't share a bed with you, they might be right. The dog sharing a bed with you kind of leads to, it could make sleeping harder, but I think if you have a dog, maybe with like normal sized ears, or maybe a dog who's just really calm throughout the night, it's okay. But Maya tends not to be the best sleeping partner. Just a little bit tough to share a bed with. Yes, she also hates water. She hates baths. She gets really smelly, so that's the other thing that's really funny. She comes out from the covers and stands over your head, and she just smells like a dog. She smells so bad. But she hates water. She really doesn't like baths, so she doesn't get baths very often. And when she does this hilarious thing where, because she doesn't like being wet, she just like becomes hyperactive and runs around the house. She rubs her face on the carpet, rolls around in the blankets, just goes nuts. It's kind of a silly thing to watch, and I actually kind of love when she gets wet because I really enjoy watching her do this stuff. But yeah, doesn't like water, doesn't like being wet. It's pretty great watching her run around. And yeah. So yes. Oh, she hates kids. We're a little bit worried about that since we've got a baby on the way. Claudia's pregnant. She's about 2 months in. Yeah, she's about 3 months in. She's about 3 months in now, so we've got another 6 months before the baby comes around. We're not sure how Maya's going to handle that. We suspect it's going to be a stressful time, and there's going to be some disagreements between dog and baby. We are probably going to have to establish for the dog that Baby is a welcome member of the family, and there will be no murder. But like, I'm a little bit worried about that. I kind of look up people and like, oh, how do you introduce your dog to your child? And some people are just like so absolutely trustworthy of their dogs. They're just like, oh, here, and they just like bring the baby down to dog level. But I also hear people who talk about like the dogs exhibiting weird behavior around children, and then parents just being super nervous, like understandably super nervous about it. Because I mean, like, they're predatory animals, and babies, smell enough that a little dog could kill them. Even a little dog could kill them if they wanted. So I don't know. I think Claudia and I are going to be a little bit more cautious about it. We're going to wait until, I don't know, Baby becomes a threat to dog before we really at some point, I mean, that's going to be the problem. It's going to be like, for a little while, the dog will be maybe a potential threat to the baby, but then once the baby gets big enough, especially once they start crawling around and grabbing stuff, Baby will become a threat to dog. And I'm sure one of these days, somebody is going to get hurt as a result of baby and dog interactions. It's just going to be how things go. This is how it is. Kids don't really respect the personal space of animals, and neither of them are especially smart. They're relatively smart, but not that smart. They have to learn. So yes, that'll be a bit of a struggle. What else? I don't know. Overall, I gotta say, I never really had dogs in my life. Like, I'd known dogs, I'd met dogs, I'd visited dogs, but I never had a dog that was just consistently there. I gotta say that having grown up with cats, honestly, I kind of prefer dogs. I feel like dogs, they're much more invested in their owners. They're more active, they're more playful, they're more fun. They're very petulant sometimes. Maya is just this incredibly petulant little dog, but she's pretty adorable for what it's worth, and respectful of her owners. She really dislikes intimacy. Like, she will try to get in the way, like hugs. She doesn't like hugs. She doesn't like kissing. She doesn't like any of these things. These are all scary things to her. To her, it's all some kind of precursor to destructive violence. She does not like intimacy. Not gets in the way of that. Which I actually heard about dogs doing that before. I remember talking to some girl, and she's like, yeah, my dog gets upset whenever my boyfriend comes over, and he tries to sit in between us and make sure that we can't be intimate. And my parents approve of that. So I guess that's one reason parents can approve of dogs, because when your kids start trying to bring boys home or whatever, dog gets in the way. Claudia's hoping we don't have a girl, though. She doesn't want to deal with all the drama. Anyway, though, so yes. Maya, the dog, she's a lovely little dog, destructive little dog, petulant little dog, but fun to have around. And I don't know, what else can I say? It'll probably be nice to continue to have a dog. Claudia wants to have more dogs. I don't know about more dogs. I'm actually a little bit allergic to dogs. Not too badly, not as badly as cats. But I seem to get by with Maya okay. Other long-haired breeds I don't do as well with. But little dog like Maya seems to be just all right. So yes, I suppose that's it for today. That's all I have to say about Maya. Thanks for joining me, everybody. I'll catch you all next time.